Hello everyone, and welcome to another video of the series where we have a look on all changes that will come with WARNO 1.0, and this time we'll look at the map changes for the ranked pool. And the first one is the rework of Black Forest number 2. We had a couple of times that this map has been up there, and as you can see, there's even less forest now. The woodcutters here really first chopped those roads here, then they set up camp, and now they actually have cleaned out around their base as well. So there is now some line of sight here. And the other change here is the movement of this zone a bit around, and then the two rear zones are closer to the action now as well. I feel like this one's still a bit too far behind. If it would be over here, it would be better, closer to what this is. And maybe a zone over here, it would be nice as well. By the way, all the map editor tools will get slightly improved as well, and you will be able to play on them as well, though not quite export them into the workshop in a functional way, most likely at launch. But you will be able, if both sides have the file, be able to play them as a mod in multiplayer, most likely as well, or at least in single player, which is really nice. As you then can test them, and we're getting closer to fully functional map editor bit by bit, and hopefully in the next couple of months we can have them in the workshop, and then maybe also have some immediate download function when you try to launch into a game where there is one of those, and can use them for tournaments, and then potentially also get the best ones into the ladder pool later on. So yeah, this is Black Forest. Nice little upgrade. Yeah, making the rear zones attackable, making Charlie more interesting. Foxtrot moving a bit around as well, which was quite tilted to the left side beforehand, so that is good as well. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. And map number 2 is a new layout for a really cool map, as we have a 1v1 layout now for Hesse, focused around the center of the map with the zones, but with room on both sides to maneuver. Maybe even a bit too much for my liking, as this area here is kind of annoying to control, and maybe I would have cut it just slightly off on the side here. But outside of that, interesting 1-point zones here everywhere. Papa a bit too far back for being a 1-point zone, a bit too far back in general maybe, and Bravo I would have maybe moved them like further up, like around here, and I'm not sure where to put Papa, but outside of that, interesting layout for sure. Gonna be quite fun to play, as you have a lot of room to maneuver, you have a lot of +1 zones here going around. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of 8-point zones. I like 10 to 12-point maps more, because 8 is often a bit too slow, but it's still good layout in general, and I'm looking forward to play Hesse in 1v1, having a real city map in 1v1. It's gonna be fun, so looking forward to this as well. And then we have what is space-wise the biggest 1v1 map, I believe, though a lot of it is really dead space, as I am still sad to say that we have on Mount River still no roads here on the side and no cutways that you could passage through, but you have a lot of airspace for helicopter action or so on. Though the focus on the zones is in the center here as well, a +2 zone in X-ray. You have a good bit less forest here. They have recut this zone, so that you can actually see stuff and have some interesting line of sights here over the water as well that you maybe could use. And it's, in general, still a pretty interesting layout as well, with there being 2 somewhat middle zones here, a +2 and a +1 one, and then 2 rear zones. 7 points, really low though. I wish there would be a bit more, like the rear zones should be +2 ones in my eyes, or there should be 2 more zones here to make it a 9-point zone, and put a trio of zones in the rear. Potentially put one over here, but I feel like 2 rear zones would be more interesting to get those deep pushes up there. So in general, a bit low on points. Outside of that, interesting layout though. Looking forward to see how it plays. Looking forward to see how many people will use the space on the right and left side for some action. Though this here, really just space for helicopters. Outside of that, not that usable, unfortunately. Yeah, here you can at least move somewhat up and then move through the mountains, but that's still a long way. Still a lot of fuel cost in that one. So yeah, that is Mount River. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one is an old friend of ours. It's good old True Lakes, but it has been reworked a bit in the middle. There is less woodland here now, so more tank country in the middle. So tank pushes in the middle now can work out in that regard. Meanwhile, the towns are still the strong positions that they always have been, but yeah, also here less foliage, so you can assault into the town from over there. It's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. The zones mostly the same, a bit recut and to fit the towns more directly, but the positions where they're at are the same. So this is going to be interesting. I still kind of wish there would be maybe a zone in the center here for both sides or something like that. But outside of that, yeah, it's classic Two Lakes. It's gonna be fun, and to some extent, it's not my favorite original map, but it's a solid map for sure, and I think this improves it. So I'm looking forward to it and see how this all goes. With that said, let's move on to the next one. And this one might be the favorites of the reworks for me, as this is Vertigo Duel, and as you can see, there has been some addition to the super dead open space that never was used, and there is now a way to push here through the center, as there is cover here now with these buildings, and also the spawn zones have been adjusted, so the speed at which you reach the middle has been adjusted a bit as well, and the rear zones have been pushed to the north, so deep push in the north is now way more effective. So the fighting over here way more important than before. The fight in the south still important for Delta and Charlie, but there is no rear zone there anymore. 6 points though, really low. Like this means that we will reach 40 minutes in this map all the time. I really wish there would be another rear zone here or something. Like a 6 is really low in my eyes. That's really my biggest issue with these reworks, that reaching 2000 points or coming back after you have been taken down a bit, it's gonna be tough because there's just not enough points on the map to even come back, and that's always an issue. That's why I like high point rear zones, because with that there's always the potential for a deep push in the late game, and these, like, if you're behind 500 points, 600 points, and there's only 10 minutes left, and you don't see, like, you can just GG out of it at this point with these zones. So that's an issue in my eyes. Like, having rear zones that can be pushed last minute, that is excitement in my eyes, and we don't have that here, and that's a problem. But outside of that, the general layout here of this map with the zones, really good, really good, a lot of fun to play, and I'm looking forward to the Vertigo rework hitting live. And yeah, let's move on to another OG map that has been, as Death Row has been changed as well. First of all, a good bit of foliage has been removed, so that there's space here where you also can then put units. Yeah, a good couple of cuts have been done into the forest, and then the zone in the middle has been cut into 2. That is interesting. Alpha and my eyes harder to push in for the right side than Echo is from the left side, so like Alpha should be adjusted a bit to at least take a bit of this tree line into it, like put it like this. But outside of that, interesting layout for sure. I feel like one more zone somewhere would have been interesting, and maybe even putting Charlie a bit different up there as well, and Foxtrot. I'm not sure how much I like. Well, there's this kind of basic layout there. Infantry is gonna have it a bit harder on this map though, which I am a bit fearful about. Like, the removal of this part of the forest is going to be risky when it comes to infantry plays, as there is now no room here to really push through. I feel like they could have cut off this forest, but left this forest here to still have room to maneuver with infantry. Like, that's not a bad thing in my eyes. Now, infantry really more just for the holding here than for the attacking, as pushing with infantry gonna be tough here. And unfortunately, no changes to transport survivability of infantry or anything like that. So this is gonna be maybe even more tank-centric than it already had been before. And that's the big worry in my eyes with this version. 12 points is good. And all the other things are good with this map in my eyes. Just that part is a bit worrying. We're gonna see how it plays out, but yeah, we have a rework here, and it's gonna be interesting to see how that all works out. And then the last map, where we haven't gotten a zone rework, but we have gotten a spawn zone rework, is airport, which is going to be interesting, as now the right side here, for example, starts a good bit closer to Bravo, which we're gonna see how that plays out. So the more action here for the blue side up north. The south, it's gonna be a bit annoying to deploy here, because if you deploy on this road, I wish they would have extended this just a sliver further to right, so that you have space to deploy on this road moving forward, because the units have to go around the corner, and they always slow a bit down when going around corners, so it will slow down your deployment there a bit, or you will have to get it all down on this short stretch. So that's a bit annoying. Outside of that though, I like these boxes. I always thought right side was a bit weaker, and I believe this start layout will make right side a bit stronger, as it will get faster up here now and take cover of that, and that will make it stronger in that regard. So really looking forward to how this plays. And yeah, this is the last of the 1v1 maps that got a change. Yeah, hopefully we will see more. Hopefully we'll get the map editor into a functional state so that we can test our own versions of map, give the feedback to Eugen, help them out, making it even better. They are working hard there, so that's really the great thing for the future. They are really getting us the map editor working bit for bit, and I can't wait for having that ready for making tournaments with different layouts to test them out, and then maybe give them to Eugen for putting into ranked pool. And yep, with that said, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're looking forward to these maps as well. Let me know your feeling about all these maps down there, and yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.